Okay, you ready to go?
So yeah, good to go.
Okay. Aloha, friends. My name is Leanne Watanabe with Level Up with Leanne Lifestyle Podcast, where we help women transform from the inside out, coming from a place of self-love and not loathe. And today I'm super excited because I have a special guest. Her name is Andrea. And so I wanted to introduce her because Andrea is all the way. I'm in Hawaii, gang, for those of you who don't know. Hawaii, on the island of Oahu. Where people know of famous Waikiki Beach. But Andrea, why don't you introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about yourself and where you are at?
Well, first of all, I'm in a very wet Glasgow, Scotland. Our temperature today, I think if you guys are Fahrenheit, it's about 53. So it's chilly. Yeah, it's cold and wet, and it's been wet for most of the week. But I hear you've got a hurricane on its way, or it's been.
So we have like a tropical storm. We always are like, I think we're in hurricane season, so we're on watch. We get that a lot here, hurricanes, but tropical storm rolling through. So it's wet here, a little damp, but again, Hawaii wet, so we can't complain. I was born and raised here. True. Is Scotland always cold, or do you guys have like a summer?
No, we do get summer. We just don't get a consistent summer. We can get maybe a week of really good weather, then we'll get cloudy, dark. 2 summers ago, we had 2 or 3 months where it was just stunning and was amazing. And then this summer has been horrendous for us. It's been really wet and cold.
Nice.
But that's Scotland for you.
So have you, tell us a little bit about yourself. Have you been there your whole life? Do you what do you do for work and all that jazz?
Born and bred in Glasgow, went to university in Aberdeen, then travelled down to England to work, came back to Glasgow in the mid-80s, and I've been here pretty much ever since. Worked for the NHS in Scotland for 30 years.
NHS, National Health?
The National Health Service, yeah.
Wow.
So worked there. My background is pharmacy. That's my profession. I worked in medical information laterally, but always was into fitness activity. Left in COVID, end of our first lockdown, and trained to become PT. So I became a
personal
PT.
Trainer.
Yes. Of course, because that's physical therapist with you, isn't it?
Oh, physical therapist. Yes. Yeah. So you help trained people.
Yeah. So I trained as a personal trainer. Also a yoga teacher. As well, and a massage therapist.
Oh, you are the whole
holistic thing.
Yeah. And I love that.
Yeah.
So you probably are well versed and know it's not just one thing. Health is a lot of different things.
Oh yeah. You can't out train a bad diet. That's my kind of baseline. And if you tie in lack of sleep and rubbish hydration, then you've got an uphill battle.
Nice. So you had said you had followed me on Instagram for a while, and then you reached out at me, and I'm going to just kind of read your message because you said over the last 2 years, you've been following my journey for some time, but in the last 2 years, you yourself have lost 50 pounds in a year. That is amazing. And I love how you said 50 pounds in a year because a lot of people think short-term quick fix, right? But you spread it out. I mean, it took a year, and then you had said that you were in maintenance for another year, and then you're in the last stages of a cut before building up over the winter. The cut. Is that, are you entering a cut now, or no, you're still building?
I'm at the end. I've got about 3 weeks of this cut to go.
3 weeks. You got it, sister.
3 weeks.
I know.
Oh, it's just,
I know. I
know. But it's fine, but it's a choice. And I'm fortunate to be able to make it a choice, because for a lot of people, it's not a choice to not be able to eat. So I kind of try and view it as that way. And my coach says I can pull out whenever I want. So you don't have to keep going. Because she's been there, she's done it all.
With you. You're 50 pounds. Yeah. So why don't you tell us, where is your coach in Scotland? Is she online? How did you meet her?
My coach is an in-person coach. She came to work at the gym that I'm a member of.
Mhm.
And I had got to the point where what I was doing for myself wasn't working, and I was spending too much time doing stuff for other people. I had some health issues that came up, so there was some medication and hormone stuff going on as well. And I thought, you know what, I'm just going to give it all over. I want somebody to just tell me what to do, and I'll just go and do it, because I'm disciplined enough that I knew I would do it, and I did. And we started, and my goal initially was just, I want to lose body fat. That was it.
Mhm.
And we kept it. And she's got a healthcare background, and she understands a lot about the biomechanics and the physiology of the body. So she approached it from that perspective, which
I love
was
that.
totally changed, a total change. She's competed before. She did the whole weight loss after a baby. She did it herself. She did it over time. So she competed and placed, I think, 3 or 4 times, maybe 3 times. So
Nice.
she gets the whole thing. And she's pushed it, but never to the point of it being unhealthy.
I love that.
So
And when we were chatting, I said I wanted to bring you on the podcast, and you kind of said, "Yo, I already have a coach." And yeah, no, it was nothing about that. But as a coach myself, a longtime coach, as also a client of coaches, all different coaches, I always want to talk about people who find great coaches that always lead you from a place of health first, because we've seen it. If you follow different people, especially with competition, you're talking about possibly doing a show. We'll get into that. But the fact that, yes, anybody can get there on stage, but at what cost, right? Like anybody can diet down and do a lot of exercise and get really lean unhealthily, right? But then at what cost? And that's why I've tried different coaches myself, and I'm blessed to have a great coach in my corner as well, who said the same thing that you said, that being in a deficit is a choice, and that we're lucky enough to have that, to make that choice. And because sometimes, like you, I think, why am I bitching about food? People don't have food out there, Leanne. Like it's mindset, mindset thing. So now she had said, you had mentioned, she was talking about you should compete in this transformation category in 2025. So is this an FMG show or WBFF?
I'm not sure what association it is at this end, but there's one, I think there's some competitions have a category that's the transformation basis, so it's less lean and skinny. And it's more about where you're at and how you got there. So I think 40% of the marking for it is based on the actual transformation journey. Rather than it just being on the looks.
Well, as you talk with her, get that information for us so we can post it all over and have your little team, have a little village for you, pumping you up. Yes, I was with one of my coaches a couple of years ago. She was mentioning transformation category too, and that's what came on my radar, because I hadn't heard of these. In Hawaii, we only have bodybuilding shows from 2 federations that don't have a transformation category. So she was talking to me, and at that time it was this entity called WBFF, which changed. But it was pretty much like this transformation category where people made a complete U-haul or overhaul of their lifestyle and accomplished amazing results. And there was a men and women. So I was just thinking, now that I think the new kid on the block is called FMG, Fashion Muscle Glamour or something, FMG, and they're worldwide. So I know that a lot of gals that I follow are training for a show later this year, November, in Mexico, and then they're talking about having it all over. I think they have some in the UK, but I believe they have this transformation category. So you were thinking maybe 2025, maybe 2026, but probably you said you have...
I think 26 is more realistic.
So you had mentioned you have multiple sclerosis, which makes everything take longer. Yes, right? I know. And that you wanted to ask me, how did I get over the whole posing thing? Okay, so ask away. Whatever questions do you have for me?
That's the biggest, for me, that's just the biggest fear. And I think for anybody coming into it, that's the biggest fear. Because I think we're all conditioned that it's not a nice thing to do, and it's only for younger people. And I'll be 60 this year.
I was just going to ask you to tell us your age. What month are you 60? When are you turning?
October.
What's your birth? October. Okay.
October. Libra. I'm a Libra. Apparently, I'm a typical Libran. So
Okay.
you can read into that, whatever. So that's my big, she wanted to find something that would really challenge me, because we know I'll train, we'll do all the work. That's there now, that's ingrained. She wanted something that would really challenge me. And unfortunately, it was something that probably for 3-4 years has always been at the back of my mind, which is why I followed you, the Wonder Women,
Yes.
same with Joan, Christelle, all that, because they're all of a certain age. So I'd been researching people who came into this over 50s, no, late 40s, over 50s. And they're my kind of posse that I follow. But it's that whole, I mean, getting up on stage, there's nothing to those costumes, and high heels. I'm 5'9". I don't need to wear high heels.
Yeah, you got good height, sister.
Yeah. So I mean, high heels, good grief. So it's that whole bit.
Right.
That's the scary bit.
I would say the first thing first is, and just in my opinion, like, I'm not a veteran at all. I only did my first show last year. I had this on my bucket list for a really long time. You know, when I was in a 20-something-year-old gal at the gym, trying to do all that. And I had always found some coaches that would put me through the ringer. And like you, I have ulcerative colitis. Yes. So I was on a bunch of immunosuppressants. I was always on high doses of prednisone. I was on all this medicine, but I was in my mind determined that I could outwill this condition. Like, I went through a good chunk of my disease thinking I was in a boxing match with this condition and that I was going to win. Because like you, I'm like, I got resilience and I got work ethic. And I may not be the fastest or the strongest, but I will do whatever it takes. And I really believed that I could outbox this condition. And so I would always set myself up, now that I'm older and wiser, and think about, setting myself up for failure, because I was doing all the things in a body that was just screaming at me to take a break and to stop bullying. It always came from a place of bullying. So when all was said and done, and then I came to my fate in 2015, where the Mayo Clinic told me I had to have colon removal surgery. I was so sick that I was like ready for it. And I had thought I had mentally prepared all for it, like talking to people and seeing that I could do the same stuff. But to be honest, nowadays, and I think it's weird for me to say out loud to you, because I can't even believe it myself, but for someone who was always so self-body conscious, and then having colon removal surgery and now being fitted with a permanent ostomy, my confidence is so much greater than pre. And I tell people, I think the first things first is to just get out of your head about comparison syndrome, in terms of like, you're your unique special person, right? So it's trying to figure out how just you can be comfortable and confident within the skin you're in, right? And so first off, it's like, I was getting overwhelmed too with the costumes, and then there's changes, and then how many outfits, and then I have to learn how to walk in heels. And what I said was, okay, what do I need to focus on now? Kind of like probably your fat loss journey, right? There's so many things to the puzzle. But if we start thinking about all the things you have to do, the meals, the steps, the exercise, the lifts, you start to get overwhelmed. And then some people just get so overwhelmed, they never start doing it, right? So get that all in the head, because you're capable. You can learn anything. Look at you. You're a massage therapist, a physical therapist, right? You can learn how to pose, and you can learn how to walk in heels. And you're gonna you're gonna get an expert to design your costume. So all those things that are in your head, that's all checkable, right? The hard part is getting up there, right? And showcasing your best effort. So I think what I do a lot is, I don't really like I don't have a huge following. So knock on wood, I'm lucky. I haven't really gotten any haters, I guess, that people talk about, like trolls. But you know what? I don't even go looking for it either, really. I just follow the people that I like, and I gravitate towards people who support me, and I interact and I congratulate and comment to those people, and then in turn those people comment on me. And I never really go and look for like hidden comments or anything, because I know that, you know, the World Wide Web is huge and there's going to be people out there who disagree.
Yeah.
But when I got so sick, I knew that the type of personality that I was like, you know what, I can either cry and crawl in a hole and die, kind of, right? And play small, or I can rise to the occasion and be like, look, all the people that I've been talking with, people with ulcerative colitis, people with ostomies and all that, some of them, they let they let their mindset kind of get in their way. Like some of them won't go swimming at a pool.
Yeah.
Some of them won't wear a bikini. Some of them. So I said, you know what? I'm going to help empower this group of people that my mission is like, there's nothing we can't do. It may look a little different and we may operate a little bit different, but there's everything so when I started to kind of embody this, like I'm more of a representation to inspire, that kind of helped me too.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So I don't know, is that helpful at all at first glance?
Yeah,
or easier said than done, right?
Yeah, it's the same with the MS. There are some people's MS will stop them doing things. You have to accept that. But for me, my symptoms are predominantly sensory. So I've got neuropathic pain in my feet. I've got loss of sensation from below the knee. It means there are things that I can't do anymore. So I can't run, because that's just not wise at all. I can't run. I stopped skiing. I was a ski instructor, so I had to stop doing that again, just because it wasn't safe. But those were only two things. What it's actually given me is so much more, because I've had to look for different things to do and different ways of doing it. So actually, in a way, it's been a bonus, because I wouldn't have come across probably half of the things and half of the people that I've come across just because I have got MS. It's not something I share freely with people, because I don't want excuses being made or people saying, oh, well, no, well, you're doing so well because you've got, well, no, I'm just doing well because I work hard, not because I've got MS. I just have to work a wee bit harder. So that kind of mindset is still there, and it's just doing scary things that are safe now. And that's kind of where I'm at on that one. You just have to get your head down and get on with it. It's not, you know, there is it, but you do have to be inventive sometimes. My recovery is more key probably than anything else at the moment. Is so if I've got a hefty workout, I make sure that the next day I've got an easier day. I don't do HIIT stuff anymore at all. I've got cardio in my plan, but very early on when I started the weight loss journey, I think I was maybe about 2 or 3 months in, and I used to do a lot of spin. I would do 2-3 spin classes a week. And the training was horrendous. And we couldn't work out why. And I suddenly thought, you know, I think it might be spin. So we dropped spin from my plan for 2 weeks, and lo and behold, my training in the gym improved. So, and I've just never, I can swim a bit, but again, I just have to be careful because my leg just doesn't work. So it was hard giving up the things that I'd done, because they were normal things. They made me feel normal, because nobody in a spin class knows that you've got something wrong. Everybody's just working really hard. So it kind of, that was hard to fill that gap. But I've certainly managed to fill it quite well.
I love that. I think, you know, I think you maybe tackle the fact that, like you said, you don't let people know about your diagnosis most of the time because you don't want to be treated different.
Yeah.
But again, on the other flip of a coin, I challenge you, because there's so many people with MS, probably that you know, or other people that know, that just accept the diagnosis as their fate. And then they play small. And they never kind of push the boundaries, or they'll never be able to reinvent themselves because they can't mourn what they used to be able to do, right?
That's it.
So again, that's what the main reason, you know, I get some friends that are like, oh, you must be so confident and so, you know, that you just show your ostomy and da da da. And I'm like, it's very like fake it till I make it. I said, what I do is I know that the people that I'm trying to reach are the people that matter the most to me. And that's for people who can resonate with having a condition that kind of makes them operate or look a little bit different, but still out there doing the thing. hey, and I can only be my best version of myself, right? But you know, I just interviewed Dalton Frankie last week. I don't know if you watched him, but he had just basically said his biggest advice to women who are looking for change is this: when you stop obsessing about who, or fixate on who you used to be, you will be free. So you've been able to actually sort of event yourself. Yes, you had to mourn former versions of Andrea that could do stuff that made you feel normal, but you've been able to emulate and evolve into find other things, right? So I think the whole thing about bikini and transformation and all that, it's developing sort of a persona, I think, that is sort of maybe outside of yourself. Like an alter ego, right?
It's like the inner self that you don't want to let out.
Well, or that you're not sure how people react, but it's there, right? You know, it's there. So I try to tell gals is the first thing is this, right? It's okay. Maybe think about that. An alter ego, what would that look like? What would the name be? How would that person act? Everybody's different, right? Some people would be really funny. Some people would be more sensual. Some people. So again, it's kind of like thinking about that. Like if you could, or even like your superhero, right? Like if you could emulate your superhero version of yourself, that would you could visualize that's going on in stage and entering the competition transformation category. What would they feel like? What would the emotions be? What would the feelings be, right? And start to write that down. I think that could be one step. But again, I have gals too that are like alter ego Leanne, like no way, they just can't get in. So then I go, okay. So then what you do is start in your house, right? Nobody's really in your house, in your little private time. Get it like a full length mirror, and wear like either your bike shorts or your sport bra, or if you want your bikini or your one piece, and just practice without any, like, you don't need heels or anything. Just practice like walking. And just kind of practice some of the poses. There's a front pose, there's a side pose, there's a back pose. Video, play around with it. Nobody has to see it, right? But it's about like getting into your sort of your body. And unfortunately, I mean, unless you're gonna do like, you know, like figure is a category, and that's very muscular, right? There's certain levels of, I would say, like sensualness or like sexiness that's required. Like say this, like a figure competitor is very set poses, very mechanical, front, back. They're just trying to show off musculature, right? Whereas bikini, you got a little bit more sass, you know what I mean? You got to bring that out. You don't want to be so stiff, right? And then there's in between, like transformation is probably like a nice in between. It's celebrating like a huge win for you and da-da-da. So emulate that kind of victory, right? So I would say like, just start kind of walking in your house, looking in the mirror. Do you do progress pics for your coach?
Oh yeah, every week.
Okay, do you do any flexing ones yet?
Not yet, but I think that'll come.
Okay, so then you just do like front pose, side, back. Okay, so now what I want you to do is, why don't now every time, how often do you do progress? Once a week, once a month?
Once a week. Once a week still.
You should have 2 sets of pictures.
Yeah.
Right? You should have your regular ones, right? The front, side, back, like the ones that are, but you should also add another set and just play around with some flair. Like, how about a flex? Or how about try to look at, you know, flex your quads, see like the muscle pop out. Just play around with that. Again, this is all like safe stuff that can kind of be done. I looked at your feed too, and you don't post that much about your workouts, huh?
No.
How come?
I know, that'll need to change.
Well, I mean, you got to go at your own pace. Like, some people are not into that. But what I find is when I work with my gals, a lot of it is fear, right? They don't want to put themselves too much out there. They don't know what their family or other people that may think or whatever, right? They are like, don't want to see about negative comments. So it's all really like a mental thing. And so I encourage them. I said, well, maybe you start a separate account and you put it private, right? And you slowly add in people who you feel safe with, if you don't feel okay about putting it all out there. But just start maybe a short video on your lift, maybe a flex Friday. And you start a flex Friday. I'll tag you now. And now every Friday we want to see a flex Friday. And little by little, I think seeing the pictures and getting more comfortable, it's sort of like exposure therapy, right? You do a little bit, you're like, and the first couple are, I mean, can you imagine probably when you first started taking progress pics, period, you probably felt like awkward.
Hated them with a vengeance.
Everybody
Now I don't
does.
mind them.
Now you don't mind them, right?
No, don't
Okay, so
mind
now
them.
you just, it's what you do.
Yeah.
Everybody is like you when they first start, and I tell them to take project. I don't want to, da, da, da. And I'm like, nobody's going to see this. I'm going to see it. If you don't want to take them, we'll meet on Zoom. I'll take them. I'll keep them. You know, especially when we're starting out, right? Because people are like, I'm not, it's always about what I'm not, right? I'm not there yet, or I haven't lost the weight yet, or when I get this, or when I look like this. That time's never going to come, really. Because we're always going to be chasing something, right? Because it's all in you.
Yeah.
But we just got to work on you.
Yeah. I'm glad I've got them now, because you've got that comparison. So I can look at even, you know, this time last year, I think I was about 0.5 kilo heavier last year, but my stats for this year by comparison are through the roof.
Tighter.
You know, so just because the numbers are different. So I don't mind pictures. I'll look in mirrors now. I don't mind doing that, which I hated. I just wouldn't even look at myself working out. And we just gradually made those changes. I think I'm probably also overthinking it, because if we are talking, you know, 18 months time, that's a long time to learn what to do.
Right. Well, yeah, but even starting now, because it's a process. Right? And right now, since we're far out, you can do a little bit. So that's what I'm thinking. Like, for me, the biggest style move is probably for you, just kind of get like more confident putting yourself out there and exposing yourself a little, is to just post a little bit more about your workouts or your lifts. Right. Even if you just get on a story and be like, oh, I had a great leg workout today, but tomorrow I'm going to take a rest day. Just give a little update. Start with a flex Friday, right? You see those, right? So I'm going to tag you now for flex Friday.
That's it. That's done.
And that stuff too. And I think over time, like anything, consistency, right? Don't make it a whole big thing. Maybe once a week, you like, I'm going to start with flex Friday for September. And then your birthday's coming up in October. So then you'd be like, oh, the goal for October is maybe I'm going to show a lift that I'm going to do every week for my birthday, to celebrate my birthday month, because I'm here. I made it to another birthday. And despite having MS, I'm doing this, I'm doing that, I'm doing this, you know, and it'll get easier. And just like your progress pictures at the start, you'll fast forward 4 weeks, 12 weeks, 6 months, and be like, oh, I'm getting used to now. Like, and then maybe you start like flexing or posing at home or something like that.
I think what puts me off some of it is I've got quite a wide range of contacts and friends who have got quite polar views on
aging
and on physique and body neutrality, body positivity, all of which are great and fit the business that they're all in. But I'm also conscious of, you know, even when I posted my kind of before and after pictures that I did kind of at 12 months in, I started it with, you know, I make no apologies for this post. This is just what I've done. It's not meant to make anybody feel bad, but I shouldn't really need to start my posts with that. And I think that's kind of holds me back a wee bit as well.
Right? That's the Andrea thing, right? When we're walking on eggshells, right? Or we're changing how we operate for fear of what other people think. Again, right? Again, there's people that have strong views and all that. So that's why I tell maybe you make a separate account, like a fitness one, keep it private, or you only add on who you want to see. Or you start to embody like, look, I come from the mindset of to everybody, to each his own, right? And this is what makes me feel better. This is what I do. And I want to share it because I know that other people need to want to be inspired. Like, if I can do it, I know they can do. And you stand in that, right? But again, I know that can be scary, having that boundary. But what I tell clients is post and move. Like, don't look at, you know, whatever, just post because that's what you want to do and stand in it and let it go. Don't look at it, you know, just don't be in the comments or whatever. But again, there's levels, but like anything, like the posing, like when your progress pictures, exposure therapy, the more you do it, the less apologize you'll do for it.
It's that typical Libran thing of wanting balance and to please everybody.
I don't really know about the signs, but really, is it like you just do you?
Totally. I struggle to make a decision if I'm given a choice of just two things. I'm like, oh, I don't, you know,
Oh,
by the time
okay.
I've weighed up all the options, it's too late in the choice. So I try and not do that now. I try and make a snap, which is why when you messaged me, kind of me from maybe 2 or 3 months ago would have thought about it and not got
Yeah.
back to you. And but when you messaged me, I was like, right, okay, that's fine, and just did it. So it's doing more of these things will make a big difference. I like
Yes.
the body that I'm in just now. I'm happy in the body that I'm in just now, which I wasn't before. Yeah,
I love
that's been
that.
the biggest
And
turnaround.
I think that's the biggest message. If you just do even a selfie, and that's exactly what you said. I'm really happy in the body that I'm in right
Yeah,
now. And I'm really grateful for this
yeah,
body, even though I
yeah.
have a lot of challenges.
Mhm.
And then you leave
Yeah,
it at that.
yeah.
Right?
And I'm the same person, but this
You,
is the real me that's now here. We've chipped away at the coverings, but there's a few more to chip away at, I think.
it's a lifelong work, chipping away.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, this was so wonderful. I don't know. I hope I was able to provide you with a little bit of insight. Do you have
Yeah.
any biggest advice for somebody who's starting out there, especially maybe somebody with MS or a similar situation, and they're trying to make a change for their health? What would be your biggest advice?
Surround yourself with the right people. Be selective. Get a good coach who understands the condition or who understands the physiology that can go on, so that you can explain to them, because everybody's MS is different. So the thing with me is, on my right side, the messages don't get there at the same time as my left. So
It's
my
a
right
little.
side always lags. So we now work my right side before my left, so that we know what the balance is. So find somebody who is on your side and will cheer for you, and learn to be patient. That's probably the biggest thing, is just patience.
Are you okay with people maybe if they have questions reaching out to you
Oh,
on your
absolutely.
Instagram?
Yes,
Yeah,
absolutely.
good.
Yeah, no problem. Because I know your healthcare system is so different to ours.
Yeah.
I'm fortunate my medication is all free.
Okay.
If we had an insurance system or had to pay for it, I doubt I would be able to get some of what I've got, because it's so expensive. So that, I think, is probably the biggest difference for people, is that I get access to all my medication, all my scans, all my follow-up appointments. They're all free at point of delivery, which is
So,
phenomenal.
as we wrap up, are we okay with saying the challenge is we are gonna do a Flex Friday thread starting
Okay,
this Friday?
this Friday. Okay,
Yes.
no pressure. Oh, this Friday's September, isn't it? Right, okay.
Oh, so fast. Yes.
Okay.
And I will tag you. And I know there's a little bit of time difference. So
Yeah, I
maybe I
think
gotta tag
it's
you earlier. So I gotta tag you right now. It's 10:06 a.m. Sunday.
it's 9 p.m. Sunday evening here.
Sunday evening, right?
Yeah.
So I'm gonna probably tag you Thursday night. So
Yeah.
you get it Friday.
For
And then you
Friday.
can tag it Friday and then
Yep.
I'll share it.
Okay. Right, we'll
Well,
do
let's
that.
do this again. I
That
will
was
do this
fun.
again with you. Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay, let
that
me
was fun.
stop. All right. Let me stop recording.